Okay, so here's a little bit of feedback on the graphs that I marked as part of your periodic table exam test. So this was the very first question, and I felt that when you did this you didn't really look at the information, and the information here is giving you the temperature in degrees C, and in the key it's saying that X is the melting point and B is the boiling, X is the melting point, and then this dot is the boiling point. So here you can see the melting point and the boiling point, they're very close together, and this is for fluorine. So across this axis here we've got the elements. For chlorine, which is here, this is the melting point and this is the boiling point, and you can see there's a little bit more of a gap between the two of them. Here's bromine, melting point and boiling point, and again we've got a gap, possibly not as big as this one. And here we've got iodine, where we've got the melting point and the boiling point of iodine. Okay, now we've also got marked on here room temperature, which is this dotted line here. So what does all of this mean? We can see that the temperature is 0 here and negative, so this is becoming a much lower number, and then we're going more positive, so this is a higher number. So basically this is a very low boiling point, so we're below 0, so it's a low boiling point or melting point, and above is a high melting point or high boiling point. So if we were at minus 250 degrees C, then everything will not have melted yet. So as we increase the temperature, we can see that if we get to minus 200, then fluorine will start to melt and become a liquid. At minus 200 and maybe at minus 185, it will now have boiled and it will be a gas. So we can see that at minus 185 it's already a gas. So as we warm up a little bit more, we get to minus 100. And below minus 100, chlorine is still a solid. But once we get to minus 100 and we're raising the temperature, it starts to melt. So solid chlorine will become liquid chlorine. And then at this temperature here, which is about minus 35, chlorine will start to boil and it will become a gas. Okay, we can see the same here. Bromine, as we warm up, bromine starts to, it's still a solid here, and it turns into a liquid when we get to about minus 5, minus 10. Okay, so it'll be a liquid, and then as we heat up it'll still be a liquid until we get to about 60. So at 60 degrees C it will then boil and it will become a gas. And iodine, it's still a solid even at room temperature, and as we go up it's still a solid until we get to this temperature here, which is about 115, 120. So at about 115, 120 degrees C it'll melt and it'll be a liquid until it gets to this temperature here, which is 170, I think, 180, and at 180 degrees C it will then boil. So this is the information given here. So if we are below room temperature, then if it hasn't melted, it'll still be a solid. If it has melted but hasn't boiled, like here, it'll be a liquid. And like these two, these have already melted and boiled at room temperature, so they're going to be gases. So anything above the dot is the gas phase. Anything below the cross is the solid phase, and anything in between here is the liquid phase. So you can find the range over which it's a liquid by looking at the difference between the dot and the cross. So how big is that difference, because that will be its liquid range. So I hope that's helped you for question 1.